Hey guys, so I wanted to talk a bit about my 2017 holiday. We got off from school for a few weeks because of our, annual winter break, and I've gotten to do a lot of pretty fun things in that time. One of the highlights was on New Year's Eve. I stayed up with a friend until 4 a.m. playing a bunch of different games. We started with Overwatch and did a bunch of competitive matches, and what's pretty funny about that is we played at about the same skill level, but at the end of our 10 placement matches, the game gave me a rank 1,000 points higher than my friends. And so because there was that much of a gap, it wouldn't let me play competitive with him anymore. And so after that, you may have saw I posted on Instagram, we went into Minecraft for a bit and made some pixel art. I guess it's sort of a yearly tradition that we always go into Minecraft and make a world for that new year. Last year for the 2017 world, we made a pretty cool pyramid that you can actually see a clip of in my top 5 favorite Xbox games video when I chose Minecraft for number 3. And this year we just did a bunch of pixel art. Well, actually my friend got a bit bored of pixel art and started making a really cool different colored pyramid, but as you can see I made a few Nintendo characters. Some of them were a lot more ambitious than I thought. The Racing Toad one, for example, looked in the picture a lot smaller. When I actually built it, it took me about 25 minutes. After we got bored of Minecraft, we actually went over to Roblox for a bit. Now, we never really play Roblox legitimately. We're not really a huge fan of the actual game. We just went in to see what the community's like nowadays, and we found some really cool servers. It actually made me kind of sad that we found this one server that was so cool. It's like this big open world, and there were a lot of different quests you can do, and you can definitely tell they put a lot of work into it to make sure it was polished and scripted, but there were only like a few people playing it. And so it just kind of makes me sad to see that much development time was put into this world that clearly was made with passion and not a lot of people care in the community. So yeah, that was pretty fun. I didn't really play a lot of Nintendo games that night, but a few weeks before that, notice that segue there, the Zelda Breath of the Wild DLC came out. So we've been hearing about this Champions Ballad DLC for a while now, but we haven't really had any specifics until they suddenly released the trailer, and literally that day it was playable. I'm not completely sure, but I might at some point just make a completely separate video talking about that DLC, but if not, my general thoughts on it were it was a lot of fun. I loved the shrines. The dungeon was pretty cool. I actually didn't have that much trouble with the very first challenge it throws at you with the one-hit obliterator. Yeah, so overall I had a positive view of that Zelda DLC. The other thing I have on my list here of things I'm going to talk about for this video is Cuphead. Now if you don't own an Xbox or aren't an avid PC gamer, you might not have heard of Cuphead. Basically it's this really difficult 1930s style game that just throws a bunch of bosses at you. It's made to be really frustrating, but it's only $20, so I figured I'd try it out. As pretty much everyone says, the game really does look fantastic, and some of the music is really good, but there were a lot of bosses I wasn't really a fan of. It's hard to criticize Cuphead without being counter-criticized by people saying you're just not good enough at it, but I will say I was able to beat every boss, but there were some I was able to beat on simple mode, and even through all that, I just didn't really like a lot of the game. It had a lot of potential, but a majority of the time, the places I got stuck were on random attack patterns. The random attack patterns really draw away from the game for me. Sometimes I feel like I get screwed over in a run just because I get unlucky with one of the boss's phases. I'm really not a fan of that, and would really enjoy the game more if they sort of strayed away from those random boss phases. So because I haven't beaten every single boss on regular difficulty, which I'm not even going to try to do because they're so difficult, I'm not able to do the final boss fight, which kind of sucks. Even some of the simple boss fights are really difficult. I hope in a future update they make it so you are able to at least fight the final boss without beating all the other bosses on regular, but I'm not really sure. So Christmas Day for my family was a little underwhelming. My parents were sick, so only my brothers came by as opposed to the whole family as normal, but still it was a really good time. We played 3-player Madden in the living room, and there were some tough fights to say the least. For Christmas I got a Mario and Zelda amiibo. I really like the way they look. They're actually fantastically designed, and I initially didn't want to remove them from their cases because they look so good displayed like that, and so what I did was I took an X-Acto knife and cut the very bottom of the amiibo case, and I was able to remove the amiibos so I could see them without completely destroying the box, and that means I can also put them back in whenever I want to. So that worked out pretty well. I was originally hesitant to buy any amiibo because I wasn't really sure how I would like them, but they're actually pretty cool. I also got this game called Snipper Clips. Now if you got a Switch at launch, you probably know what this game is, as it was one of the only games that was on the Nintendo eShop at the time, but it's this pretty cute puzzle game that involves players cutting each other out to solve different kinds of puzzles. I also brought the Switch in the living room. We had a lot of fun playing 2-player Snipper Clips. I'm trying to think of some other things I did over the break. Oh yeah, so I wanted to challenge myself in Super Mario Odyssey, and I saw this really cool video about this no jump challenge. Apparently it is possible to beat Super Mario Odyssey with 0 jumps on the jump counter, so I went and tried it. I've gotten pretty good at the parkour in the game, so I was pretty confident in my abilities to maneuver around the map even without a jump. I wasn't expecting it to be that hard, but there were a lot of difficult sections that I wasn't really expecting to be as difficult as they were. For example, the dragon fight in the Rune Kingdom took me way longer than it should have, and I probably wouldn't want to do the run again just because of that. But in the end, I beat Super Mario Odyssey, and I checked the jump counter, and I beat it with only 3 jumps. Although it's not 0, which kinda sucks, that still is impressive to me that I was able to beat the game with only 3 jumps, although I'm not really sure where the 3 jumps came from. We also visited the San Diego Zoo over the break. It's been a while since I've been there, and it was just as cool as I remember it. I think that zoo has one of the largest animal populations of any zoo in the world. I don't think it's the largest, but there's still a lot. About 3,700 I think. And I guess in some sad news, I did end up selling my 3DS XL. I made a video about it back in August asking you guys what games I should get for it. And thanks to your suggestions, I ended up playing a lot of cool games before I eventually sold it. My favorite on it was Super Mario 3D Land. That's a really well made game, and there are a ton of levels for people who are interested in 100%ing it. But yeah, I actually ended up selling the system for $30 more than I paid for it initially, which isn't really a bad deal in my eyes. So that was pretty much my winter break in 2017. Before I end the video, I want to inform you guys a bit of what's coming up in the near future. So to be honest, I haven't really had time to work on that Super Mario Odyssey review I've been talking about, and considering finals are coming up next week, I probably won't have time to work on it for at least another 2 weeks. So I'm going to be pushing that back until the end of January. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Like I said, finals is coming up, which is the most stressful week of the school year, but I'm feeling pretty prepared. I'm going to be preparing in the week to come. So yeah, wish me luck on that. Let me know what you guys did in your winter 2017 holiday. Also, I'm remembering this right at the end, and I'm not sure if I've mentioned in another video, but I did end up buying Mario plus Rabbids Kingdom Battle, and I've been playing that for about a month. Overall, I really like it. I think it looks really good, but the gameplay to me isn't my favorite type of game. Although it definitely is fun, and it is getting me into the genre more, it's not as fun as a typical 3D Mario, but that should be obvious. And other than that, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.